Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting session of Under the Hood. Very excited to have another session especially about CloudGuard network security for Azure Virtual WAN. Let's give everybody another 15, 20 seconds to get on board so we don't want to miss out on any of the fun for all the people that are coming in a few seconds late. So thank you for your patience, and hold your horses, and we're about to go. Okay, so welcome back to Under the Hood that we kicked off a couple of seconds ago. I have the great pleasure of hosting the very impressive Jeff Engel, who's our technical marketing engineer for cloud security. This is, I think, session number 15 or 16, once every 2 weeks for Under the Hood, giving you a deep dive into one or more of the wonderful things that you can do with CloudGuard in order to secure your cloud deployments. This time, we're going to be talking about CloudGuard network security for Azure Virtual WAN, which was recently launched, and specifically about remote access VPN. And I'm going to turn it over to Jeff. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for joining, everybody. So we're going to walk you through what's possible with this integration. It's just another enhancement on what we would do already with the Azure Virtual WAN connectivity and integration. Quick agenda. Talk about the partnership real quick. And this should follow the same thing. If you've been on these before, it's going to follow a very similar flow. The overview and prerequisites, kind of talk through the reference architecture, do a demo, a recorded demo, but it was done very, very recently. So it should be very fresh. And if you have any questions on it, we can jump into the lab after the fact if need be. Limitations and considerations, additional information and resources, and then, of course, Q&A. But as always, please ask questions as we go. We can always even pause the video if need be and jump in live and answer questions, or jump, like I said, jump to the live lab if possible and answer questions directly. So don't hesitate to ask. Happy to help and happy to answer those as we go. All right. So real quick on the partnership, Jonathan, I'll let you talk to this slide if you don't mind.
Sure, no problem. So don't want to take too much time on this one. Microsoft and Check Point are long-term strategic partners. And in fact, Check Point is one of Microsoft's leading worldwide security partners, ISVs. And we have been in the last few Microsoft financial years. For those who are not aware of MSFYs, sorry about that. We have a whole bunch of award-winning Azure Marketplace offerings, including CloudGuard network security, but a whole bunch of other things. Check us out on Azure Marketplace. We're a founding member of MISA, Microsoft Intelligence Security Association, which basically helps promote integrations between third-party ISVs and Microsoft security capabilities. We are a premier Azure Marketplace vendor, and we are MAC eligible. So for those who have EA agreements, enterprise agreements with Microsoft, you can use MAC eligible Microsoft Azure Marketplace solutions like CloudGuard network security in order to use some of your Azure credits that you need to use during your year that you're committed to. So I think it's Microsoft Azure consumption credits. And of course, we have a very close and tight R&D and integration. So for example, here at Azure Sentinel, Gateway Load Balancer, but we also are closely integrated, of course, with Azure Virtual WAN. So you can see some of the accolades on the right-hand side. And please feel free to ask us any questions about the partnership between Check Point and Microsoft. It's fascinating, it's broad, it's deep, it's exciting, and it's very, very fun. We've just come back from a close interactions with Microsoft in their headquarters in Redmond. So I'm going to hand you back to Jeff.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. So jumping right into the overview and prerequisites. As part of this discussion, we're going to make some assumptions, and I'll talk about this a few times probably, so I apologize for repeating myself a little bit. And some of this will be review. So what's the big deal? Why are we here? Why are we talking about this? Why do we want you to know about this integration and specifically remote access VPN? The built-in availability and resiliency that the virtual WAN, architecture provides, the simplicity it provides for networking, connectivity, et cetera, for all of your different connections into the hub. It reduces the manual effort you had to do in the past. In regards to the VPN piece, you can quickly create a no single point of failure architecture. So if you have a region failure, which we've seen in the recent past, it doesn't matter which cloud provider you have, it's going to happen eventually, whether there's a power outage or there's some other software glitch that happens, it can take down an entire region. And so this solution very quickly and easily, as you'll see in the demo, provides a way around that and provides you, really a very robust architecture for your remote access VPN connections and users. In this one last piece on the zero hassle provisioning. So as you've seen from the previous videos, if you haven't seen the previous videos or Bright Talk sessions, and I apologize for which ones are full Bright Talk sessions versus demos, we have 2 YouTube videos, and they are in the attachments link of the Bright Talk session here, where you can see both the onboarding video and a use case video showing the VNet to VNet security. And so this will be the third one. This will be posted out to YouTube eventually as well. The demo itself will be posted to YouTube as well. But you can see the setup and configuration of all of this stuff that we're going to show you today. That's going to be pretty much done ahead of time. Some additional steps and conversation. And so once again, I'm repeating myself, some familiarity with our integration with Azure Virtual WAN, familiarity with Checkpoint Remote Access VPN in and of itself could be an entire day's worth of conversation, because it's been around for so long, and there are many ways to configure and design the remote access VPN solution for your particular environments. I know both John and I came from customer environments where we used it. It's tried and true, and this is just showing you basically out of the box solutions without having to do anything custom to make a solution like this work without any special, like I said, customizations or coding needed. For our purposes, because of the Azure Virtual WAN configuration or integration, we do require R81.10 and above for the gateways. As far as sizing, you'll need to determine up front how much throughput you expect per hub. You can get around that by doing an upgrade or a redeployment to a larger size. But at the moment, as you may or may not know, the Azure Virtual WAN does not support auto scale at the moment. That is on the roadmap though, and I'll talk about that later as well. John Go, did you want to add anything to that? Did I miss anything or anything you want to embellish that I forgot to add?
No, but there is a question in the questions. In the previous slide, there's a mention of 13,500. Sorry,
yep.
That's concurrent users. So that is actually the maximum number of scale units that you can select. 80 scale. Correct. So we'll share a table later on with the different scale units and number of maximum concurrent users that can connect to the CloudGuard gateways. And it is a limitation on the, I won't say it's a limitation, it is the maximum number of VPN users an MVA can support. So when you select the maximum scale unit, you'll be able to support up to 13,500 users. And so we'll publish those numbers later on as we go. But yeah, just to answer the question there, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Appreciate that. And to be clear, that's per hub. So depending on how you have yours configured, you could have 13,500 per region essentially, or you could have multiple hubs if you wanted to do it in the same region. So just want to make sure that we're clear on that. That's not necessarily in total, period. It is per hub. All right. So quick reference architecture review. Very, very simple. Once you see the demo video, it's going to be, there's not much to it, to be honest. once you see how it's configured, it's very, very straightforward. If you've ever used DNS load balancing before, it's pretty slick, and I'm a big fan of it, and I've used it in previous life quite a bit. So bottom line, this is a very simple diagram showing, in this particular case, 3 regions, each with their own hub, and we are configuring Traffic Manager with each of the gateways defined as endpoints. And so any of the gateways individually can take VPN connections. It's not going to a load balancer and then balance from there. It's going directly to those gateways individually. All right, so we're going to do the demo video now. Like I said, if you want to ask questions as it goes along, we're happy to. We can even pause if need be, depending on what the question is. But we'll get it started. All right, so here's my environment. It is going to assume that it's already set up, and you'll see that here in a second. I have 2 virtual WANs configured in 2 different regions to simulate, removing the single point of failure per region, and to show you the endless possibility and endless scalability of the solution, where we can have users coming in from any region and getting connectivity very, very simply and very easily without any hand holding. So in my environment, I have 2 virtual WANs set up, one in East US 2 and one in West Central. If I dive into each individually, you will see I already have my NVAs configured. So I'll jump into my East US 2 hub, take a look at my NVA configuration. Here they are. Same for West Central. As you may have remembered from the previous sessions, and once we have these configured and added into the hub, you need to add those to your Checkpoint Security Manager. And here are those 4 gateways. The one piece, or one of a few pieces that we need to modify or change in order to support this new capability, is on each of these gateways, we also need to go into them and enable the VPN blade, the IPsec VPN blade, which then brings a couple of extra options into the properties screen. We'll need to make a change under IPsec VPN and then link selection, and change the IP selection by remote peer to statically netted IP. And this is going to be the IP address. That's the public IP address that has been assigned to us by Azure. So in this case, this is my US East to the NVA 0. So we'll take a look at that one real quick. There's the IP address, and we'll need to do that for all 4 of our gateways in this case. So each gateway that you have configured for this solution will need to have that done. In addition, you will want to have configured an office mode network defined and configured. So we're going to change it to allow office mode to all users, change it to manual, and change it to the network definition that you have defined. So these are some assumptions we're making that you already have this done. Please work with your local offices to assist you if you're not familiar with these setups. Just for the sake of time, we're not going to be able to dive into all the nitty-gritty of remote access VPN. It would deserve many, many hours of its own, because there's so many possibilities and capabilities that it has to accommodate any architecture and scenario. So real quick, I will show you, here's my 4 networks, 1 network defined per NVA. And what that, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, what this does is when a client VPN user connects in, they'll be allocated an IP address from this subnet. And so if I take a look at that particular subnet, which is right here, it's going to get an IP address from this network definition. Once that is set, you will also need to make a change to each gateway to a configuration file. This is also mentioned in the, it's listed as an item, and I'll show you this right here for the demo purposes as well. This is the SK that you need to follow, SK 103440. So I'll give you a second to write that down. And what this change is doing is requesting that the remote access VPN client that connects in to do a DNS lookup each time it connects in, which gives us that redundancy, or gives us that, removes that single point of failure possibility. So you're maybe making a change using Vi, and we give you pretty good instructions on how to do that here, and making sure we're copying and making a copy of the original. You're going to be modifying this track client _1.ttm file, and you're making 3 changes. And the way this SK is formatted, you're going to be making a change and looking for this attribute, enable gateway resolving, and changing it from client decide to true. Then MEP mode, you're changing it from client decide to DNS based. And then also automatic MEP topology from true to false. And you're going to save those changes. Jump back to your manager and install policy. You also need some sort of rule to allow that VPN traffic to get around the environment. In this case, this is for lab purposes. We have a simple rule saying any of my clients going to internal networks that are coming in via remote access, that's accepted. And this is just the RFC 1918 address spaces. Just give you an idea, but that you can do whatever you need to in that regard. All right. So once that is all set, now we need to jump back to the Azure portal and configure our Traffic Manager profile. So Traffic Manager is where we do all of the DNS magic, if you're not familiar with Traffic Manager. And it's extremely simple to set up. I have a configuration already in place, but I will walk you through the initial steps to kind of give you an idea what that looks like, so you're not going to miss anything as part of that. So you just go to Traffic Manager and do create. Give it a unique name. It will tell you if it's not unique. Oh, test 1. I'm going to leave it at running method performance. I want the quickest responding one to respond to me. Resource group, just pick one and create. I have seen it take a little bit for it to show up here, so I'll pause here and let that show up, and then we'll continue. All right, so my profile is now there. Click on checkpoint test 1. I'm going to go to the configuration settings. Leave that running method performance. I'm going to change the protocol to TCP and the port to 443. And save. And then go to endpoints. And we're going to add all 4 of our gateways. So any participating IPsec VPN gateway that you want to be part of the remote access, resolution, you need to add those here. So we're going to change it to external endpoint, give it a name, and in my case, and I'll show you here in a second, I just named it the same name as my NVAs, and the IP address is going to be the IP address that we talked about before, the public IP. Change it to its location, so in my case I have East US2, and West Central, and here add, you're going to add all 4. So I'm not going to go through that because I already have those configured. So I'll jump back to my existing profile, and here you can see I'm already in the endpoint section. Here are my 4 gateways. If I click on each, you'll see the public IP address for each one as defined, and as you can see, they are showing as online and enabled. You can do a quick test of your of the setup in general by doing an NS lookup. Jump back to the profile configuration. Actually, the overview real quick. It gives us a DNS name, and it's simply the profile name .trafficmanager.net. So I'll go ahead and copy that, jump back to my NS lookup. And if everything is good, it should reply with an IP address or one of the IP addresses of our NVAs, and it's working. So now that I know it's up and working and happy, I can now configure my Checkpoint VPN client to use that DNS name. So I've obviously, once again, I've gone ahead and made that happen already, but I'll kind of walk you through what that would look like. Go to new site. Next, you would punch in your DNS name, hit OK, log in, and you're pretty much good to go. And that's it. Obviously, there's a lot more possibilities as far as logging, capabilities and multi-factor, etc. But bottom line, that is the gist of it. There's nothing more complicated than that. So what we'll do is go ahead and connect that client. I should have left it up. I'm going to do a connect to. Change my profile. I've got a domain user account. I'm going to go ahead and connect. And it's going to go ahead and connect me to one of the gateways. Connection succeeded. And you can see here it connected me to, I believe, one of the ones in West Central. Let's double check that. Nope, I lied. It's the US East 2, the first one. So it's connected to this guy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and simulate a US East 2 outage. So I'm going to disable each of the US 2 gateways in Traffic Manager. And reconnect and see what happens. And they're both marked as disabled. So I'm going to jump back to my VPN client, disconnect, and simply just connect again. And we're back connected, and you'll see now I'm connected to 4.255.250.125, which is one of these guys. This guy. So as you can see, we were able to very easily create a highly redundant multi-region remote access VPN solution with not a lot of effort. There's some pieces that I skipped through, but to be honest, the entire lab took me about an hour or maybe 2 hours tops, just because I haven't done it in a while, to configure. And your local SE teams, engineering partners, etc., will be able to help you through this, no problem whatsoever, and not to mention the cloud overlays. So hope this was helpful. Take care. Thank you. All right, so we'll go back to the slides. One quick thing, just for the sake of the Bright Talk video, in case you're watching this on, I should have said this before the demo. In case you're watching this as a recording or after the fact, there has been conversations about, or comments in the past about video quality. Make sure to check the settings button. It's kind of like YouTube. You can enhance the quality based on, as it must be a wheel or a settings button where you can increase the quality. which will make the demo much clearer. The default, I think they try to save bandwidth and make it very low res, so it's going to be hard to look at. But if you make that change, it's supposedly much better. All right, so let's take a look real quick. We had some QA come in. We're going to answer, let's see. John Gold, we're going to talk about the SASE replacement option. Do you want to answer that one real quick?
Yeah, hey guys, there's a question around could this remote access solution be a replacement for SASE, or more specifically for internal traffic? To answer that question, yes and no, right? I mean, this is still a solution that customer have to manually configure security policy, configuring the access control, things like that. So yes, it can cater for you can redirect all internet traffic or all traffic from the endpoint to the CloudGuard gateways for inspection. You can certainly do that. So that way, all the internet traffic from the endpoint will then get redirected once the VPN in. Right, so there are customers that has those requirements, and you can certainly implement it that way. Now, in addition to rerouting all the internet traffic, customer obviously will have access to the internal resources, right? So the example that Jeff just gave, can access internal resources too. So to answer the question, is it a replacement? No, it's not a service, right, if you will, and still require manual configuration, deploying the infrastructure, but definitely be able to cater for those use cases to reroute all internet traffic or secure all internet traffic, and also access to internal resources. So hopefully I answered that question. If not, reach out to me offline. I can provide better explanation.
All right, next question. In this configuration on Traffic Manager, how are we enforcing client to be connected to the closest region? So with the performance option selected, and John, go ahead and keep me honest, it's going to actually respond back with the quickest responding. And so that, in theory, should be the closest region by default. You can enforce geographic, but for the purposes of the demo, we did the performance-based one. So that's the reasoning for that.
Yeah, and there's a geo option available as well. So there's a geographic. So it depends on where the users are connecting from. So for an APAC user, it wouldn't make sense for that user to connect to the Americas. So the latency will make things very slow. So if there's an APAC region, you can deploy the hub and deploy the gateways, and have a traffic manager redirect the and just have a traffic manager to respond to the APAC users connect to the APAC hub.
All right, and I think the next question about mobile access for remote access VPN, I think that's in regards to the client. Is that probably what Okar's asking about?
Not 100% sure the mobile access on that one, but reach out to me afterwards about the mobile access, and we can talk more in detail around that one.
The one thing that I will mention is that there are two flavors of the VPN client, which is kind of outside of the scope of this conversation. Both the Checkpoint client for mobile, for Windows Mobile, I think is what it's called, works just the same way as the Endpoint Security VPN client. They use the same technology and capabilities.
Yeah, we support a slew of different mobile, like on iOS, Android,
Windows. I hate to use the word mobile. That's what it's called. It's actually a Windows client, even though it's called mobile. It is confusing, but yeah, that would work as well for sure. Mm-hmm. If we have multiple gateways, do we need to enable the MEP? So MEP is multiple entry point, and that is a technology built into the Checkpoint. One of the various Checkpoint options for client VPN that is outside of Traffic Manager. In theory, MEP would be redundant. We are actually doing some research on that, to be honest. But in this case, from what we could tell, we cannot do MEP as well as doing DNS-based lookups. So if you looked at that SK we referenced in the demo, it actually, we're actually changing from a MEP capable client to DNS-based.
And that is something that we're looking into, right? And we'll be publishing the different ways of you can connect. But that goes back to what Jeff was saying earlier in the webinar, is that this technology has been around for a very, very long time, and we've cater for the enterprise customers and all the different use cases. So it is a very, very flexible remote access solution from Checkpoint.
Right.
So this particular connectivity using the traffic manager is a quick way to set everything up and have that redundancy, leveraging DNS-based load balancing. The MEP technology is certainly something that we'll be looking into and then have published specifically for vWAN. So that's something we're looking into, and in the future we'll document something around the MEP, enabling that for remote access.
And from my perspective, I think it is safe to say that if you wanted to do MEP by itself and not do traffic manager, I think that would completely work out of the box without any modification. What we're talking about is trying to merge the two and seeing if we can't get the benefits of both.
Yep.
Thanks for answering the question. I believe the ingress traffic is not yet supported, and we would need ingress VNet. Yeah, that is still correct, but that is in progress. We're testing is going to happen soon for that, I believe, right, John?
Yes, absolutely. So we're currently we're about to kick off the so in terms of ingress connectivity, and this is outside of scope of this webinar, and that is right now we have two different solutions, right, out of the box. So first is we would deploy a separate set of CloudGuard network security gateways in HA or VM or scale set in a VNet, and you attach that VNet to the vWAN, and you use that cluster for ingress connectivity, right? Because we obviously can deploy the external load balancer to cater for inbound connectivity, and that's for customers who has a lot of applications that they need to publish, right? They require a lot of different public IP addresses. So we currently have a solution for that. And then hopefully by mid or the end of the year, we will have the external load balancer inside the vWAN Hub. So we're currently working with Microsoft to provide that capability, right? So on the roadmap, we do have that external load balancer coming. And then for the customer who just need a couple IP addresses or just one or two applications, they can leverage the existing CloudGuard Gateway's public IP address to redirect the traffic to whatever internal host that is hosting your application. So to answer that question, yes, the ingress external load balancer is not available in the hub yet, but there are already two solutions that you can currently deploy for ingress connectivity. So I hope I answered that question there.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. All right, so real quick on limitations and some considerations. This is a relatively short list. As mentioned before, there is no auto scaling at the moment within the hub. So that's where we talked about having to decide upfront how much throughput you expect, how many users you expect in this case to possibly come through this environment, through this architecture. You can choose between 2 and 80 infrastructure units at launch. Only one public IP. This is kind of a carryover from previous slides or previous demos, but it's still relevant here, just so you're aware. Only one public IP per CloudGuard NVA. And then obviously just repeating, as you can see from the demo, if you're not familiar with remote access VPN from Checkpoint, you'll need some assistance there to help you with that. But that's, like I said, it's a tried and true platform that's been around forever, and there pretty much is no architecture that hasn't seen before and can't be designed to assist with. All right, a bunch of additional information and resources. All of these links are in the attachment section of this Bright Talk session, including the slides. That's an additional one that's not obviously listed here because it's not, it'll be a little bit redundant, but the slides are posted there as well. In case you miss these, in case you don't get these screenshotted, you can download the PDF directly of the slides. So link to the admin guide for the integration, a link to that SK we mentioned in the demo in regards to doing the DNS lookup. The demo video we've done before on the actual onboarding of Virtual WAN with CloudGuard Network Security, a second video demoing the routing intent configuration, plus showing some VNet to VNet security, and kind of gives you a flavor of what's possible, because the VNet to VNet just kind of is one way to do it, but it will work with any spoke that you have connected into the hub. A link to the remote access VPN admin guide. A huge shout out to our Checkmates forum site. This is a key piece that I think people need to utilize if they don't already. It is a great resource. R&D watches it. We watch it. The overlays watch it, and try to be active in there. And there's a lot of smart people that aren't Checkpoint employees that will chime in and help, as they have seen things that we even haven't seen in the wild. So please visit there if you haven't don't already visit there often as a common part of your day. A link to the Azure Virtual WAN documentation, which is always helpful, and then also to their GitHub. Nahali is one of the product managers or key architects for the Virtual WAN project, and she has a GitHub for Virtual WAN that has a ton of great information and diagrams and videos and training, etc. It can be very, very helpful. All right, we went through a bunch of Q&A. We'll pause here and let people kind of ask some more questions. John Guo, did you possibly want to share that table? I don't know if you have a pretty version of the scale unit to performance, or scale the number of users.
I don't have it for me right
that's
now.
Fine. Yeah, no, that's okay. I know we mentioned it. I didn't put it in the slide deck here, but if we had it handy, we can show it. But that's okay.
So, gents, it's a little bit quiet on the line. I think, Jeff, you finished a little bit earlier than I expected.
Yes.
We'd be very happy to take your suggestions or comments, everybody who's on board. If you have any questions about Azure Virtual WAN or anything, while we can take advantage of our experts. John is the alliance architect for the stuff that we do with Microsoft. That's not just network security, but everything CloudGuard. In fact, a whole bunch of stuff that's not CloudGuard as well. And Jeff, of course, is the technical marketing engineer for cloud network security as well as for AppSec. So, if anybody has any burning questions, suggestions, requests, we'll be happy to hear them. I think, Jeff, in the meantime, should I quickly jump to that poll and then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be good.
Right. So we like to sometimes put in polls to get your feedback and to see if there's any way we can, reach out to you, or you need us to reach out to you after this webinar. So have a look at the bottom of your screen. I'm kicking off a poll. The way that it works in BrightTalk is we put it out, and then people can answer. Of course, if you're happy with what you see, if everything's straightforward and easy, and life is just wonderful, then there's no reason for us to you don't even need our help for anything. But here are some of the suggestions. One option is for us to schedule a personalized demo of CloudGuard Network Security for Azure Virtual WAN. We have a bunch of cloud security architects. We call them overlays. Those are the technical side of our overlay team. We also have cloud solution specialists. That's our sales teams. So we have these guys around the world. And so I see already we have a request for a special personalized demo. So we'll definitely reach out to you within probably a day or two to discuss that with you and then schedule something. So that's one of the things that the cloud security architects can do. And then answer number 2 for follow-up is ask my Checkpoint account team to contact me, or alternatively, your Checkpoint partner. And if you don't have a Checkpoint account team, don't be shy. If you reach out using that, then we'll find a way to contact you either way. We'll make sure that somebody with some level of cloud expertise will reach out. Answer 3 is set up a deep dive customized workshop around CloudGuard or best practices for secure migration. So this is a pretty cool initiative that we've been doing recently. Basically, we reach out to you, we chat with you, we understand what your needs and requirements, headaches, pains, considerations, concerns, that type of thing. And then we can set up a half day or a full day customized workshop, again, with our cloud security architects. But this gives us the opportunity to understand what you're looking for, and then we can tailor make something for you, which is definitely one of the things that we like to do as a trusted cloud security advisor, global trusted cloud security advisor. So that's a customized workshop. You can also reach out to your team to help you to deploy CloudGuard via the Azure Marketplace, either for Virtual WAN or anything else in Microsoft, or dare we say it, in one of the other public or private clouds. And if you have something else that's not included above, feel free to either, we'll contact you to check that out, or you can even send it into the Q&A, and we will try and answer that in the next few minutes remaining. We still have a few minutes remaining until the end of the webinar. I see that there are 2 more additional questions that I'm going to start talking and let the experts answer. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave the poll open. So if you have any other requests for us to reach out to you and we can work together, and we can help you out, or you can help us out, or we can help each other out, then please fill in that poll. I'm going to stop talking and hand you back over to Jeff and John.
Okay.
Thanks, Jonathan. So we have a couple more questions in there.
I think both those questions, Jeff, are pertaining to the throughput requirement. So the question is, how much throughput is required if we have 12,000 users, concurrent users? And the question is also related is the total throughput for the scale unit. So when we deployed the solution from the marketplace, when you select the scale units, we actually put in the total throughput that these NVAs can handle. And I just don't have the numbers in the top of my head right now, but you'll be able to see, hey, if I deploy 20 scale units or 40 scale units, these are the expected throughput from these appliances. We'll be able to push these this much traffic. So to answer the questions, like how much throughput is required for this many users, it's really hard to say, but but the maximum throughput is there for you, right? Hopefully that answer the question there. It really depends on what the user behavior is like. If we're redirecting all internet traffic, right? So we need to obviously cater for more throughput. If we're only routing internal traffic or traffic to other branch offices from the remote users, then obviously will be much less, right? So I guess it's hard to say about, but one way to be sure is that when you deploy the scale units, be conscious of the throughput that you need, and deploy the right throughput. My general rule of thumb is to about say 20% utilization and give yourself room to grow. And of course, if you need to increase the throughput requirement, just deploy a new scale unit with more throughput to cater for the growth. So I hope I answered the question there. What else? I think I have any more questions.
Yeah, that's about the same question. I think that's about it. We'll give another 60 seconds and then we'll let everybody run. But yeah, there was no reason to make it longer than needed be. It's a very straightforward, simple solution architecture once you get into it. Sometimes the assumption is it's going to be something super complex, but that's not always the case. And this is one of those examples. And really kind of to toot the checkpoint horn, I guess, and from personal experience from the customer side as well, is the business or the organization will come to you with problems that need answering, and a lot of the times, and majority of the times, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a huge fan of Checkpoint, is there's an answer to those questions, an answer to those needs for solutions. based on things that are already available in the checkpoint repertoire, so to speak. So it's good to highlight these integrations just to make people aware.
So Jeff and John, no more questions. So let's say goodbye to everybody. Please feel free to reach out to us. You have all of our email details at the beginning of the presentation, and you can download those slides from the attachments that you can see on the screen. Jeff, you want to add on to that summary, or is it just straightforward?
That's pretty straightforward. Just stay tuned for more topics like this. If you want to reach out to us directly, like you said, with ideas and thoughts on what we should show, we would love to hear it.
And so thanks, guys. And also thank you to everyone for listening. We appreciate it. You know, if you wouldn't be joining this, we'd be having a very boring time when putting these presentations together. And of course, the more interesting it is, the better it is for you and for us. So again, thanks. Jeff and John, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
See you live. Bye-bye.